couple of minutes and outline what I think is a wake-up call for everyone that may be in the business to rent property, have signed contracts, and I want to ask everyone to take a deep dive into their heart and their soul about, are you really running your business ethically and morally as well as you can? And here's what occurred. Stoll Mobile Home Park signed a contract with a towing company called Strapped Towing Recovery, and the purpose was so that Stoll could keep the mobile home park clean. For those of you who may not be familiar with running mobile home parks, it's easy to collect derelict vehicles, and as a result of that, people don't want to live there. So Stoll was being responsible when they signed a contract. But you can have a contract, and then you can have a contract. So May the 15th and 16th, our contract company called up and showed up and began searching the community for any vehicle that was in violation of the ordinance. Well, they made a tow on the 16th. It's interesting, they showed up late in the evening, and they towed a Suzuki from the carport. Now understand, these folks had their vehicle in their carport, backed in, but it did not have a tag on the vehicle. So the employees of Strapped Towing were actually going not only through the park, but walking up in people's carports and looking to see if the vehicle had a tag on it. The vehicle was operational and running. It was this particular vehicle was a Suzuki, and Strapped backed up and starts to tow the vehicle out of the parking lot. The owners come out and say, hey, don't tow our vehicle away. And they go, you sign a contract to live here. The contract says that you have to have a valid registration. They tried to bring a tag out. They asked if they could get their car back. The owner of the company and the tow truck driver, Michael Den, refused to let them have their vehicle. And he towed it away despite the consternation and request by the owners. So away the vehicle went at about 11:30 at night. So the next day, on the 17th, the afternoon of the 17th, two families go to this tow company in Mulberry, Florida, to retrieve their vehicles. And there's another disturbance. Well, it starts out rather peaceful when they tell the employee that's there, we want our vehicle. One of them paid like $265. The other paid like $300. How there was two different prices of tows from the same place, we don't know. The storage yard was more than 10 miles away from the tow location. That is a violation of law. So anyway, they paid, and we'll talk about Juan for a minute. Juan Muriel and that group paid to get the vehicle back. But the vehicle was in the back of the storage lot, and the battery was dead. Now, according to them, the battery worked. The vehicle ran when it was towed away, but now the battery's dead. So the employee calls Michael Den and Elisa Den, who were at this particular time in Bartow eating dinner, and said, hey, these folks want their vehicle back. They've paid the price. And they go, well, we're eating dinner. We'll be there in a little while. So they finished eating in Bartow, and then they drove all the way back to Mulberry. And an argument ensued because Michael now wants to charge them another fee to hook up to their car in the back of the tow yard and tow it out front. So an argument ensues. Subsequent to the argument, Juan, who has a 14-year-old young lady in the car, drives the vehicle that he arrives in down to the corner, drops off a 14-year-old girl, spins around in the car, charges back where people are arguing in the road, and runs into Michael Den, swerves and hits Michael Den's brother, injuring him. Then he spins the car around, jumps out of the vehicle. Michael Den approaches him, shoots him, and kills him. Of course, the sheriff's office is notified. We respond. Michael Den says, I'm standing my ground, I'm standing my ground. And we go, what do you mean you're standing your ground? The victim, Juan Muriel certainly would have been arrested had you simply called the sheriff's office for charging back in the vehicle and hitting your brother. But when the car spins to a stop, and Juan gets out of the vehicle without a firearm, and you shoot him ultimately in the back of the head and kill him, as he's walking clearly with nothing in his hands, posing no immediate threat, that's not stand your ground. So he was arrested. That caused our detectives, both our homicide detectives, who also got our Northwest District detectives involved, going, what happened? What was the genesis of this problem? Well, it was an over-aggressive tow company. That's where it started. We also learned that in addition to towing this car that by the contract they signed to live there was technically a legitimate tow, but it wasn't the spirit of the intent of the process. The spirit of the rule simply is that you don't want derelict vehicles collected in the mobile home park.